Good day, everyone. I am Mr. Garth Reed, Student Ambassador in the University of Technology Jamaica and Mathematics Teacher in Training in the School of Mathematics and Statistics. Today, we'll be looking at a CSEC mathematics question, all right? Section 6 of the syllabus, that is Algebra, and the topic for today is factorization. Okay, so here we have our question here to the left. It says factorize completely. Part 1, 4y squared minus z squared. Part 2, factorize completely 2ax minus 2ay minus bx plus by. And finally, we have to factorize 3x squared plus 10x minus 8. Okay, so let us now begin. Yes, so let us begin. Now, in the first question, we have 4y squared minus z squared, all right? And the rule that we'll be using to differentiate that is the difference of squares rule, all right? So the difference of squares rule says that if you have a squared minus b squared, then the factored form of that is equal to a minus b multiplied by a plus b, okay? So let us do the first part. So part 1, solution. All right. So I'm just going to scroll down a bit here just to get some space. So they gave us 4y squared minus z squared. Okay. Now that is equal to, all right, the 4 that we have here can be written as 2 to the power of 2. All right. 2 squared is 4, so we can write it like that. All right. The y squared is still there, minus z squared. All right. So all I'm doing is just rewriting that so that it fits the form that we want, which is the a squared minus b squared. Okay. So this is equal to 2 squared multiplied by y squared minus z squared. Now, for this term here, all right, for this term here, I'm going to use this law of indices here, which says that if we have a to the power of n multiplied by y to the power of n, then that is equal to a times y all raised to the power of n. Okay, so that is what I'm going to use for that term there. So I can now write this as 2 multiplied by y all squared. All right, and remember we have the negative z squared there. Good. Now clearly you can see that it fits the form that we want now, right? A squared minus b squared. So in this case, the a is just the 2y and the b is the z. Okay, so let us now write the factored form. So this is now equal to a minus b. All right, so this is going to be 2y minus z in brackets being multiplied by a plus b. So in that case, it's going to be what? 2y plus z. Okay? And that is the solution for part 1 of this question. Good. So I've now completed part 1. We're now going to do part 2. All right, factorize completely. 2ax minus 2ay minus bx plus by. Just now look at that. All right. So part 2, solution. Good. So they gave us 2ax, all right, minus 2ay minus bx plus by. Okay, and we want to factorize that. Now let us look at the first two terms here. All right, we're going to look at these first two terms and look at it and find out what is common. All right, you realize that a is common in both terms and the 2 is also common in both terms. So what we're going to do is factor out that 2a. All right, so we're going to factor out that 2a. All right, and we're going to have what is left in brackets. So to find out what is left in brackets, let's come over here and do the rough work. So what we're going to have is this 2ax being divided by the 2a that we're factoring out. All right, so the 2x divided by the 2a, and this is equal to x. All right, because clearly you can see that the 2a's will cancel out. Good. So our first term is going to be x minus, we now have the negative 2ay being divided by the term that we're factoring out, which is 2a, all right? And that is going to be equal to negative y, all right? We already have the negative there, so I'm just going to put y, all right? I hope you can see why it is negative y, because the 2a's cancel out, okay? So we have negative y there, all right? Now we're going to have the other term is minus. Now, if you look here now, all right, if you look in these two terms, you realize that b is a common factor in both terms, all right? So we're going to factor out the b, and what is going to be in this bracket, which is x minus y, is also going to be in this bracket, which is x minus y, okay? Yes, so we're also going to have x minus y here. And let me show you why that is so. All right, for the first term, all right, which is a negative bx, we're dividing that by what we factored out, which is the negative b, and that is equal to x, because clearly you can see that the negative b's will cancel out, okay? And also, that is the reason why we have the first term as x, and also we're going to divide the by, all right? The other term, the second term here, we're going to divide the by what we factored out, which is the negative b, all right? And that is going to be equal to negative y, because clearly you can see that the b's will cancel out, which gives you y divided by negative 1, which is negative y. So that is the reason why this second term here is a negative y, okay? So whenever you're doing this type of factorization, all right, we normally call this factorization by grouping the terms, all right? Anything that is in this bracket, all right, anything that is in this bracket, x minus y in this case, must also appear in this bracket, x minus y, all right? If you did the factorization and whatever is in this bracket is not equal to the other bracket, then it means that you have done something wrong. Okay, good. Let's now continue. And this is now equal to, clearly you can see that x minus y is a common factor in both terms. So we're going to factor out now the x minus y. All right. When you factor out the x minus y, all you have to do here now is just write what is remaining. All right. And the terms remaining are basically the terms outside of the brackets. Okay. So this is the answer for this question in part 2, x minus y multiplied by 2a minus b. All right. I hope you understood that. So we have now completed the second part of this question. Now we're now going to do part 3, which is to factorize 3x squared plus 10x minus 8. All right, so let's do that down here. Let's do that here. So that is part 3. All right, part 3, solution. And they gave us 3x squared plus 10x minus 8. Okay, and this is what we call a quadratic expression. All right, it's called a quadratic because the highest power of x is 2. All right, is 2. And let me just tell you from now that whenever you have a quadratic expression and you're asked to factorize it, you are to get 2 factors. All right, and the reason why is because the highest power of x is 2. All right, so for a quadratic expression, when you factorize it, you're supposed to get 2 factors because the highest power of x for a quadratic is 2. All right, so I hope that is clear for you. So let's do the rough work here at the side. So I have the product. All right, to calculate the product, we're going to multiply this term here, all right, the 3 by the -8. So what we have is 3 multiplied by -8, and that will give us a -24, all right? And we need a sum, which is 10, all right? The 10 is just this term right here, all right? The coefficient of x. So what I now need is two numbers. When I multiply them, all right, I am supposed to get -24, that's my product. And when I add them, I'm supposed to get 10, that is the sum, okay? Now those two numbers are 12 and -2 if you think about it, okay? So in case you never know that, just think about all the products, all the numbers that can multiply to give you 24, all right, -24 to be exact, and then you find out which one of them, when you sum them, you get a positive 10. Okay, so I hope that is clear for you. So let us now continue. Now that we know that the two numbers are 12 and -2, we are now required to split the middle term. All right, so we're going to have the first term, which is the 3x squared, but we have to now split the 10x into these two terms. All right, the 12 and the -2. So we have a positive 12. So what we're going to do now, let me write in red for you. So we're going to have a positive 12x. All right, x is the variable that we're working with. And we have a -2. So that's -2x. Okay. So we have successfully split the middle term, the 10x, into two terms, which is 12x and -2x. All right. Now, clearly, 12x minus 2x is the same thing as 10x. Okay? I hope you can see that. So this is now equal to, we're now going to go back to factorization by grouping. So we're going to look at the first two terms here and find out what is common. All right? And clearly, you know that 3 can go into itself, and 3 can also go into 12. All right? So 3 is a common factor. Also, you realize that we have x squared and we have x. So it means that x is also a common factor. Okay, so 3x is the common factor. So when we factor out the 3x, we will get an x plus 4. All right, so let's do the rough work here to the side if you don't see that. So we're dividing the first term by whatever we factored out. The first term is 3x squared, and we're dividing by the term that we factored out, which is 3x, and that is equal to x, all right? Because clearly the 3's here will cancel, all right? And I now have x squared over x to the power of 1. Now remember, when you're doing indices, there's a rule which says that if you're dividing, all right, if you're dividing, then we subtract the powers, all right? So let me just write it here in case you don't remember. So it says that if we have, let's say, x to the power of m divided by x to the power of n, then that is equal to x to the power of m minus n. All right, so we are subtracting the indices once we have the same base in the numerator and denominator. And the base here is x. Okay, so I hope that is clear for you. The second term now, the 12x, all right, we're going to have 12x, and we're dividing it by whatever term that we factored out, which is 3x. And this is equal to 4, all right, because clearly you can see that the x's will cancel out, all right. Also, 12 divided by 3, we know is 4, okay? So that is the reason why I have positive 4 here in the bracket as the last term. All right, now the other operation is minus, all right? Now we have a 2x and we have -8. Now clearly, 2 is a common factor because 2 can go into 2 and 2 can go into 8, all right? So 2 is going to be the one that's factored out, and we have the negative in front, multiplied by, now remember that we have x plus 4 here in the first bracket. All right, we have the x plus 4 here in the first bracket. So it means that x plus 4 must also be here. All right, now let us just check that that is true. You have negative 2x and you're dividing it by a negative 2. All right, negative 2x, let's do it here to the side in case you didn't catch that. So we're looking at this negative 2x here. All right, so that's negative 2x. And we have to divide it by whatever term that we factored out, which is a negative 2. All right, and that is equal to x, because clearly you can see that the negative 2's will cancel out. So that is the reason why we have x here as the first term in the bracket. And then we're focusing on the last term now, which is a negative 8. So we're dividing the negative 8 by the negative 2. That's the term that we factored out, right? We had factored out negative 2. And the two negatives will cancel out, all right? A negative number divided by a negative number is a positive number. And this is going to be equal to, all right, that's going to be equal to 8 divided by 2, which we know is 4. All right, so that is the reason why we have 4 there in the bracket. So notice that these two are the same. All right, we have x plus 4 in the first bracket, x plus 4 in the second bracket. This is now equal to, you now know that x plus 4 is a common factor in both terms. So we'll factor out the x plus 4. And in the other bracket, I'm just going to have the other terms that is outside, which is 3x minus 2. All right, so the factored form of 3x squared plus 10x minus 8 is x plus 4 multiplied by 3x minus 2. All right, so we have successfully completed the last part of the question, which is part 3. All right, and we're doing factorization. I hope this video was very helpful for you. All right, if it was, please ensure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and also comment down below. All right, I am Mr. Garth Reed, student ambassador in the University of Technology Jamaica and mathematics teacher in training in the School of Mathematics and Statistics. I thank you for joining.